gee.
I just, you know, I already set up the cameras to focus so we can't move, but we can't see each other. This might be good.
Okay.
I mean, you want to redo this?
You're the director and the photographer.
Yeah.
So, you know, I thought it was interesting. I saw a thing this morning.
Wait, well, let's redo the thing.
Okay, go ahead. But there was an interesting thing. They arrested this woman.
Wait.
For wearing a scary mask. I thought this wasn't recording.
We're not recording, but this could be something great.
Okay.
This could be something like that makes the show.
Okay.
You know, we'll just do it. Yeah.
Well, check it out. Check it. Make sure you always go, oh, I can't believe we cut each other's head off. So why don't we move a little bit so we can see each other?
But I need you in this chair again.
You know, what we ought to do is we each ought to be sitting on a motorcycle is what we ought to be doing.
That would be perfect. Your story that you were about to tell.
I was just saying that I watched, I saw a thing on Google or whatever. They arrested this woman and they showed a picture of her. She had this scary Halloween mask on and she was I think she was like a substitute teacher at some nursery school, and she scared the shit out of all the kids. And so they arrested her charged her with some kind of weird thing. But they showed the pictures. One of these masks has a big long white mouth on it.
Has anyone ever tried to arrest you for wearing a scary Halloween mask?
I wear that every day. So, so what kind of questions do we get this week? You can tell where we first no dead air.
We got varying questions.
Okay.
This one's a good quick answer. So we should
22.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably like -5.
Okay.
No, -7. What's the best handlebar mounted master cylinder kit for an R100/7? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Well,
16, 15?
if it's just got a single disc brake in it, then you'll put the regular perch on there that has 2 throttle cables, not the one for the splitter. And then you'll probably put a 14 millimeter on there. Now, a lot of the feel or how much free play you have in the handle is directly related to how big the puck is that you're pulling. So that if that thing probably came with a 13 or a 14 millimeter, so you can go to something bigger, a 16, but then it's firmer. It doesn't move as much. If you go to a 15, there's a little more free play. A lot of people like a lot of free play because they can't really get a good bite, getting good strength until they get a part of their hand on it that allows it to move back enough to get it. They can't get good strength with their fingers out at the top. If it's something, mine I have so that it barely moves because at speed, a second or two at 60 is a couple hundred feet. I want to stop as quickly as possible. So if you have a single Ate disc, probably a 14 millimeter master cylinder reservoirs will work fine.
But there's also, if you're a nervous type person who might grab a little bit too much brake frequently, you might want a little bit more squish.
Yeah, the ATEs are fairly timid to begin with. They don't work all that well. You're squeezing, only one puck moves, you squeeze one pad, you're squeezing against the fixed point. If you put a handlebar mounted master on in a stainless line, it's a lot better than having the under the tank master and the cable. But I don't think you're in danger of locking up the front wheel at speed. That's not going to happen. If you had 2 on there, then you'd put a 16 on it. If you had 2 calipers. The R90S, I think, first came with a 17. They don't make 17s anymore, but they make 12s to 16s. So you can put a 16 on it, and that will work either 2 Brebos or 2 Ates, and give you a little bit of lost motion at the top. But again, and there's a chart I have that tells you what goes to what. But the smaller you get with the puck, the more movement you have before anything happens.
Yeah.
So if you got really small hands, you're going to need something that gives you more ability to get the middle of your fingers on where you can get some strength.
That makes sense.
Tips of your fingers.
Good answer.
Thank you. to get a prize or something?
More work.
More work. Okay.
That's the end goal. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What's next?
Any bike you regret selling or losing?
Well, I would probably like to have my original R69S back with the Avon Air fairing, which I have pictures of on the wall over there, just because it was my first BMW. It had a lot of miles on it, and I have a lot of great memories with it. But other than that, my conversion I've had since '72. I had an R60/5 that was in a friend of mine's van, and it got stolen. The van got stolen in New York, and I lost it. And then after that, I bought this conversion I have now, and I've had that since '72. And then in between that, I rode that for years. And in the early mid '80s, I got my first R80 GS in pieces, and I ended up selling that and getting another R80 GS, and I've been riding R80 GSs since then. So I really haven't sold a whole lot of my daily drivers. I've pretty much kept all that stuff. And the one I have now, I've had since '01 or '02, and the Transalp I bought 5 years ago. So those two bikes, I don't anticipate selling either one of those. So,
what's your favorite electronic ignition for an Airhead and why?
well, the simplest and the cheapest at $299 is the Dyna 3. The Dyna 3, of course, works off the same place the points went. And it's pretty simple installation, and they're pretty bulletproof. And they work great. You can get into more exotic stuff, like the crankshaft fired ignition.
I like the crankshaft.
Well, I mean, the crankshaft fired ignition is fine. It takes about 3 hours to set it up. If you have a stock alternator, then you buy one unit. If you have a alternator with a permanent magnet set up on it from EME, who makes the crankshaft fired ignition that we've been using, then you have to buy a different setup. And once you get it set up, it's great and it works much better. But it's also, the kind of the more high performance stuff you get, the more maintenance it takes. So, I prefer things that are simple. It's just like on my bike when I built the motor, and when we do these motors on these World Traveler bikes, they're low comp motors.
Have there been any problems that you've run into with the crankshaft fire?
Well, when they first came out, they gave them to us, 10, 12 years ago, they gave them to us to R&D, and they would run for 20 minutes, and then they wouldn't run anymore because they had electronic issues. They got warm, they quit. They got those fixed since then, and they seem to be okay. We probably only have 3 or 4 of them out, but we've not got any reports of any issues with them.
What about water?
I don't think water affects it. Water would affect your points because you've got two surfaces that open and close, and even though the condenser is supposed to keep the spark from jumping from one side to the other, water would still affect that. But the other ones it's a laser, it's a light, so I wouldn't think that it would make any difference. It's more of a solid state situation. It doesn't, it's like points. If you get dirt on them, they don't work. If you leave them closed and they burn up, they don't work. Electronic ignition's not the same. It's much more robust.
Yeah. Cool. What was your answer again? The Dyna
3.
Dyna 3.
Yeah, that's $299. We sell a lot of them. They're pretty straightforward to put on.
What would be the best all-around Airhead for someone buying one for the first time?
The first question we ask people when they call us is, what kind of ride you're going to do. So
there's a lot of,
and also depends how deep your pockets are. If you buy a /6 or a /7, they're relatively inexpensive. There's nothing special about them. R90, R100/7, R100/7, R90s are both 60 horsepower bikes. They both have AT brakes. They both have points. They both have the long shaft transmissions. And they're fairly generic, and you can buy them, probably a good one, for $3,500, maybe $4,000.
I'd go with like a 81 through 84.
Well, 81 through 84 is the best of the twin shock
an
bikes,
RS,
no doubt about it. And they got the Brembo front end, electronic ignition, Nickel cylinders, light and flywheel, and slicker shifting gearbox. Got the shift kit in the gearbox. So but you might pay a little more for it. But if you're not a street rider and you want something you can take in the woods, then that's not going to be your first choice.
That's true.
So that's what I say when.
But maybe find some. That'd be my recommendation. Find one with the fairing already taken off, and it's got a lot of things on it that make it. You know,
Well, I mean, you can still buy the 70 horsepower R100. They made it from 77 to 84, so 81 to 84, 70 horsepower with a tall rear drive. You know, the later model transmission. It's a great motorcycle.
Yeah.
Run forever.
What bike did you learn to ride on? That sounds like a segue from the last question, but it's not.
I learned to ride on a. I think my first bike was a 175 Bridgestone. And after the 175 Bridgestone, I had a Suzuki X6 Hustler 250, which was the only bike on the road at the time in the 70s that had 6 speeds.
And square wheels.
And square wheels. So they got around after you rode it for a while. My first BMW was an R69S that had the Avon Air fairing, which we have pictures of on the wall there, that I got working for my first BMW dealer in Athens, Ohio, probably in the early 70s.
What bikes do we have for sale? And do you know the asking prices of them?
Well, we have that silver R75 that used to be an R60, but it's on eBay and it'll be out tomorrow. We have an R90, a 75 R90 that we put the R80 GS solo seat and then modified an R100 GS rack and put it on it. That's also on eBay. That's good for another 5 days. We have an R107 that we're trying to sort out. That we haven't put up for sale yet. That'll probably be $4,100. We may have another Trans out for sale.
Did you? I blanked out. Did you say the ST?
Haven't said anything about an ST yet.
Oh, okay.
Because the ST's not ready to go. The one you started working on, the silver one, we don't even have any carburetors for yet. We were supposed to get a set from Rothschild, but we haven't seen them yet.
Yeah.
He said he was sending me a set.
But soon we'll have an ST for sale.
Soon we'll have an ST for sale, yes. Silver ST, 82, I think. We have the R67, 1951 pristine R67 that we have for sale. If anybody wants to spend a lot of money on a really nice electrical motorcycle, yeah, nice bike.
It is a really
Add
nice
to your
bike.
collection.
Well, it's a bike, nice bike now.
Yeah.
You've put a lot of work into it.
A lot of work. I think that's it at the moment. I just bought another R80 GS in Pennsylvania. I won't see it for a month. It'll take a month for Chad to go grab it. But I did buy, and I think it's an 81 R80 GS with a stock tank that I'll have for sale. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I haven't seen it yet. But I just bought it. I mailed the money out a couple days ago, so I'll see that in another month. You know, I want to know why it is that you have 4 alarm clocks and still sleep through them.
I turned all my alarms off, and yeah.
Even when they were on, it didn't make much difference.
Yeah, I was up until like 4, and then
Making dinner again?
No, I just couldn't sleep.
You need a routine. We've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
You need to do the same thing every night before you go to sleep.
You know what I think it was? It was I drink a stronger coffee than I'm used to, because they've been sold out of my coffee at our Publix for a while.
You know, I sit in a hot bathtub before I go to sleep, and I crawl out of the tub and crawl into the beds, and I'm out.
I'm imagining you literally just crawling across your house.
You know, I had a house in town here that had a sunken bathtub, with a little A-frame, 900 square foot A-frame. And I would sit in the tub. Friday nights I would take an early bath, because then I would down to my buddy's Chinese restaurant. A whole bunch of us would meet, and we'd spend the whole evening, close the place down, and spend the evening there. And I had 2 cats, and the cats would come on either side, you know, and eventually, depending on what condition I was in, I'd knock one of them into the water. It got to the point where one of my cats would get in the shower with me. First it was on one side of the shower curtain. It would bat at the shower curtain, and then it would just come in the shower, and then I would sit in the tub and it would sit on my knee. It would get a little bit wet and it would just sit there. It got to where I really liked the water. But that was a tub that was, you know, tile all around. It was down in the ground.
Yeah.
My cat now will come and just sit at the base of the bathtub and just look at me, or I'll climb up in the window over the tub and look outside and just kind of look down at me and just sashay away, just not interested in getting in the bathtub, which I don't understand because if I were a cat, I'd want to get in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Tony's been really quiet in the other room.
Yeah, really quiet. Good job, Tony.
He must be dead in there. It's not making any noise.
All right. Yeah.